I'm having weird flashbacks because I remember seeing black and white footage of your dad going down, I think, to Mississippi and seeing like the stark poverty and going on down there, maybe right under our noses as Americans back in the 60s then. And it seemed to really move him. And when he came back up north to really start changing policy, because he was just shocked that like there was starvation in America and there were all those things. I'm just wondering what he would have thought about some of the things you're talking about now, knowing that this was happening in 2020. I don't know.
It's not just my father, it's just common sense. And then anybody who cares about, personal freedoms and the Constitution. I mean, what's the point of America? Is it just that we share a land space, or that, it's a place where you can, come and everybody can make a big pile and whoever dies with the most stuff wins? I mean, is that what America is? Or are we a community, and are the rules of the community, this charter that we agreed on, this experiment in self-governance, the governance, which has inspired the world. When we signed into law the United States Constitution in 1781, we were the only democracy in the world at that point. And by the Civil War, by 1865, there were 6. Today, 185, and they're all based on our model. I think there's 185 countries now that claim to be democracies and that have some version of what we invented here in this country, modern time. We were the exemplary nation. We were what happened? We got rid of our Constitution. Here's what we did. Very early on, as you notice, we started using censorship. Our government started censoring us. And, Adams and Madison and Hamilton said, we put the freedom of expression, the First Amendment, so all of the other freedoms rely on it. If a government can silence its critics, it has license for any atrocity. And so immediately after they got rid of freedom of speech, they went after freedom of religion, which is also in the First Amendment. They closed every church in our country for a year with no public hearing, no scientific citation, no notice and comment rulemaking. They just shut them down. They said, we think this is right. They had no evidence for it. They kept the liquor stores open as essential businesses. And they shut down Main Street and they kept Walmart open. So it was there was this bias toward big business and the internet and Amazon, et cetera. And they get, how do you attack? If you want to attack freedom of association and freedom of petition, what's the best thing to do? Social distance. Mandate it and lock people in their homes so they can't assemble. That's what they did next. Then they got rid of property rights. They closed 3.3 million businesses with no due process, no just compensation. That's against the Fifth Amendment. They got rid of the Seventh Amendment right to jury trial. They said if you are providing a countermeasure, no matter how negligent you are, here's what the Seventh Amendment says. If you, that the right of a jury trial for a jury of his peers shall not be denied to any American citizen for cases and controversies exceeding $25 in value. That's it. There's no pandemic exception. There's no other exception. And by the way, the founders knew all about epidemics because there was 2 epidemics during the Revolution. One that froze the army, the smallpox epidemic that froze the army of New England. And that's why we lost Canada. Canada would have been part of the United States were it not for that smallpox epidemic. And then a malaria epidemic that bedeviled the armies of Virginia. But when they came to write the Constitution, they didn't make an epidemic exception. So they got rid of jury trials. They got rid of the prohibitions against warrantless searches and seizures in the Fourth Amendment. They got rid of due process of law, which is also Fifth Amendment. If a regulatory agency wants to pass a law, it's got to do certain things to make sure to integrate democracy. It has to publish the rule, the proposed rule, give the public time to respond, do an environmental impact statement that discloses all the costs and benefits, all the potential alternatives that were rejected. and all the scientific basis and factual basis that justifies that law. They have to do a regulatory impact statement that does essentially the same thing, and they have to do, but none of that was done. And then they have to have a notice and comment rulemaking, so a period when people who are affected by the law get to respond to the government, get to complain, and the government has to respond to all of those. And then you have a hearing where Tony Fauci brings in his scientists and his studies and defends them, and we get to cross-examine them. And then we bring ours in, and then you get a hearing by the adjudicatory law judge, and that's appealable if he acts arbitrarily and capriciously against the evidence that was heard. Oh, none of that happened. It was just one guy, an unelected technocrat who's been there for 50 years, never been in an election, who 1 week says masks don't work, and then the next week says put it on, and then a week after that put 2 of them on. It was this, and we went along with it. We went the obliteration of virtually the entire Bill of Rights, except for the Second Amendment. All of the other ones were abolished during 1 year. It was really extraordinary. And liberals in my party stood by and let it happen. And it's astonishing to me.
It is astonishing. And you're part of the Kennedy family that was long known as being, Democrats and liberals and championing the poor and doing the opposite of what people might expect a wealthy family to do. And now it's those same people that are coming after you and not doing the things that you would have expected that party to do. And I guess that's why you say it's a letter to liberals. Would you have ever expected this kind of 180-degree turn from that party or that type of an individual?
No, and the groups, this infrastructure we created that's mainly by liberals, to defend the Bill of Rights over all these years, groups like the ACLU and the environmental groups and all the civil liberties groups that are supposed, and people that I sort of admired my whole life, like Naomi Klein, and many others, the leading liberal voices who all seem to have their capacity for critical thinking just obliterated by this fear and propaganda campaign, and nobody really understanding that the level of manipulation that was going on. It's to me it's shocking.
I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple-digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline.
I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy. from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up. If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you gonna do? What's the choice that you're going to make?